Hey everybody, this is Publishing Disrupted. I'm Mick Silva.
I'm David Morris.
And we are two former Christian publishing professionals now finding our way in the independent market. And disruption, the book publishing industry is undergoing disruption. So we're basically just talking about how writers can meet that challenge. And we talk about all manner of things here.
Yeah.
So
How we personally meet that challenge.
That's right. Yeah.
How we're disrupting things and how we feel disrupted.
Right.
Despite ourselves.
And that's why it's the perfect title, because we have so much we can discuss. And so today, though, we really wanted to say, okay, we're coming back from, well, you came back from some vacation time. Mm-hmm. I was at another conference, but post Wild Goose, that's still sort of percolating in my head.
I haven't asked you about that yet.
But no, it was fine. It was actually a retreat. It's supposed to be a retreat for editors.
For editors, that's right.
In Nash Vegas, as we call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't doing any of the glad handing. Fortunately, I was mostly just kind of consorting with my peers and
masterminds of publishing,
discussing like the fits and foibles of editing, which is a lot of fun for me. I typically, it's a mixed group because it's some, should we say, like very evangelical in the box folks, and then there's some who
Wait a minute, there's a box
questioning that, right? Allegiance,
and then there's some who are questioning.
Yeah, and then like I don't know, I probably have a foot in both worlds, which is why I feel split most of the time, but yeah, it was good. I think some of the sessions that we had were good for fodder. I'm still thinking through that. Kathy Helmers was there. She came and spoke. That was really cool. And she's got a great idea.
She's a literary agent, longtime literary industry professional.
Yeah. So reintroduced myself to her, and she's very gracious. She's one of the agents that I enjoy. People are always asking me, who's a good agent? And I say you, of course. Yeah. But also, Kathy Helmers is in there.
Kathy is an agent that can actually like be on a stage at a writing conference and not just talk about writing, but talk about spirituality.
Yeah, and just enjoy herself. You know, like it's so funny because some of her throwaway lines are like the keepers. It's hilarious. She's got so much experience.
I don't want to.
Go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt you, but that is sort of like one of the things about publishing is you're too busy to actually express some of your own thoughts. But if you think about it, who's doing more research into what's going on with contemporary spirituality in a marketplace too?
It's true.
Which is where like it's very real, whether it's inauthentic or not. It's actually what's happening.
Yep.
And you become a student of what's going on out there.
And agents are seeing a lot of that. That's
I think publishers should and agencies should give their staffers like 6 months sabbaticals to go and write their own books sometimes, because they probably know more. Yeah,
we'd get a lot more out of it, and we wouldn't need this podcast really.
Yeah,
it'd be really helpful. But I mean, it's changing so fast. It's hard to say, a book would be the definitive resource. There are some good books by agents out there, and I've referred people to them. Mm-hmm. But just recently was mentioning The First 5 Pages by Noah Lukeman. That's an older one, but it's for writers in understanding like what's a hook. And we should do an episode on that. I already said that before, but what's a hook and how do you like execute that in your first 5 pages? Because industry professionals don't have a lot of time and they just want to see what your writing is doing, if it's working or not, if you have a good concept, if you're able to execute on that. So. But so anyway, that was a good conference, and I felt like I was semi-rested, but traveling.
Right.
It's always hard.
Same.
And like you were going on vacation, but it was with family, so that's sort of stressful, and there's all kinds of stuff.
Eating unhealthily and so on.
Right. Trying to accommodate for a lot of different people's preferences, and
Yes, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
For someone who overthinks things, it's very stressful.
It's like you got to get back to your office and be alone just to relax a little bit.
I love my family, but it's stressful sometimes.
No, they're challenging and they're wonderful. But returning to normal here, we're basically looking for how do authors benefit from what we have to offer. And every time we come and sit down, this is really just an extension of our Zoom call that we were kind of like connecting with each other about like our work and talking about like what's coming up for you and who are you working with and stuff. But if we have authors listening in, I was thinking like one thing that would be really helpful for authors is to understand like how do we determine who to work with and what's our criteria? I mean, it'd be nice to have just a bullet pointed list and hand that to people, but I don't have anything like that. It's some intangibles. It's some, like, I guess, professionalism, a network, right? We've talked about the three-legged stool. And I mean, I don't know, you have a really great way of describing that. Do you
sure.
feel like
I'll jump in. I mean, in publishing, we often talk about, you just said the three-legged stool.
Yeah.
And that is usually a great concept, great writing, and great platform.
Right.
You need all three of those things. And maybe one can be a little more wobbly and it's still worth doing, but you need all three of those things.
Okay.
Maybe one stands out and it helps the others along, but you need more than just one thing.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah.
But you can have all those things, and yet there's still something deeper that could be driving your success.
Okay.
There's plenty of people who've been successful with those three things, but there's plenty of people who haven't had this one key ingredient that has held them back from getting those three things, or even if they find those three things, being successful with them.
Right.
And that one key thing is being a great human being. It's about humility. It's about professionalism. It's about how, and I mentioned this in our last podcast, we've touched on this. We've come around to this every so often, but we really
indirectly.
Indirectly. Yeah, it's there. It's in the water. And that is, or like how you act as a business person.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, how you interact with your publishing professionals in your life. Those things can slow you. If you don't have that great human being aspect, the humility part, the grounded part, that's probably the one thing that if you don't have it, that's probably holding you back.
That's great.
More than anything else, because great concepts can be created, and then new ones can be created. Platforms can be built and rebuilt.
Right.
Great writing can always, get better, and sometimes great writing sells really well. I mean, sometimes bad writing sells really well too, by the way.
Yeah, we touched on that.
Have you ever opened up a bestseller book and like, oh, this isn't so great? Why is everybody so excited about it? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it's that humility thing. And you were wondering, how can we tell when, how do we make a decision about working with somebody?
Right.
Before we start work, before we get too committed with them. And it's hard to tell. That's the first answer.
And you can get carried away.
Yeah.
I get carried away because I'm looking for great writing. I mean, just honestly up front, I feel like great writing is probably the most important thing. When it comes to like a platform, like you said, I mean, it's great to have. Hopefully you can learn how to build one and find your audience. I mean, that's definitely, I guess the marketing part of it, and it's a skill. I think writing is a skill too, but there's something that's really, I don't know, it's like it's irreplaceable. Either you understand how to hook someone and how to interest them in a story, or you don't. It's almost like story structure. Like you have to internalize this thing. And I guess that's from an editor's perspective, obviously, but like, having studied English and writing and so many stories, I just feel like there are certain people who really kind of can grab attention.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can do that on the page and execute that well, it's like the other two legs of the stool, right? You're going to find good concepts. They're out there, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can have a good idea.
Yeah.
Can you execute on that? And if you can do that, then you can do that on stage. You can do that on a podcast, and that's how you sell the book, right? So it's kind of like connecting all of those dots starts at being able to explain yourself well, or say a story.
Yeah, and that can even be like platform
Sure. Yeah.
Your great platform is actually built on great writing,
That's right.
not the writing in the book per se, but also your communicating on platforms.
Your ability to communicate. That's right. Yeah. I think you've said it before, somehow, I'm forgetting your phrasing, but like being able to execute, and share a story well is kind of the primary skill here. I mean, it's obvious, right? We're writing books,
right.
but that so often seems secondary or tangential to, the book publishing process. And I feel as an editor and even just as a creative person, a bit stymied sometimes because so many people come into this thinking, well, it's a business and I'll just, make it work and I'll put all the pieces where they belong and I'll hire a ghostwriter and of course that obviously does work. You can do that and sell a lot of books with a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
But if you can't do that, if you're be a good communicator on a podcast or on stage, you're not going to get very far.
Yeah.
So I would argue, maybe you're using a ghostwriter because a book's long form.
or there's a lot of good reasons for ghostwriters. It's
for sure.
If you've got a big platform and you're not a writer yourself and you want to reach people through that book medium.
Right.
Yeah. But you can hire a ghostwriter who's a good writer.
Absolutely.
They conceive it well.
Well, I would argue like the ghostwriters are kind of running that side of the business and they're proving my point. You have to be able to do that. So given that, the intangibles of that though, how to share a good story and do that well, I would argue is understanding human nature and being someone who is a good person, kind of like you said, like not having nefarious, sort of underhanded aims.
Yeah. So how do we tell? Go ahead.
Yeah, I liked how you were sort of framing the idea of starting with the sort of the felt need of the audience that we're talking to. And that is that we're looking for success. We're looking to overcome a problem or, in any book, I would argue even in fiction, you're looking for something that is going to speak to either a felt need, a problem that you're facing, or, some sort of, even if it's existential angst, like you go for a novel that's going to speak to that desire that's deeper in you, right? And maybe it's up to the book to kind of identify that. But as you start reading it and you go, oh, this is really speaking to me, that's the magic. That's the place where I think an author has identified, oh, there was something that's deeper in myself that I think connects to other people, and I'm going to put that in a book. Finding that starting point, like whatever success looks like, figuring out the answer or solution to your problem, that's what we're putting in the book.
Right.
So starting with, for the author in this, listening to this podcast, what's the felt need? Well, they want to be successful in publishing a book. How are we going to help them do that? Well, show them what it means to be a good person, right? How do we break that down? How do we say to someone listening to this show, what does it take to be either a Lake Drive author or at Eponymous working with you or with Mick Silva as an editor? Like, what does it take to be someone they want to work with?
Yeah. 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 And that's the big question for us.
Yeah.
Is we don't always know
how do we figure that out?
Yeah. I mean, we get carried away by what we might see on page, in a proposal or in a platform.
Or it's a really great idea, and you get into it, and they didn't really execute it very well.
Right. Or
they don't have a platform. That's typically one of the difficulties too.
Well, we were just talking before we started recording about an author that I'm looking at where, and we see this, where we see this plenty of times where and you've talked about this, where the writing is coming from up on high as an authority,
right?
And that's all it is. That sometimes tells you this person just wants to explain things and not enter into a relationship with the reader.
That's great.
And show what they know rather than involve them in a story or in a feeling, share a feeling. And you've talked in the past about, it seems that, in publishing today, it's more of a trend too, to like, that's what people are really gravitating to is when you share part of your story. I've brought up, I'm sure I've brought up Brene Brown more than once, but that's what I remember most about her books is that she's kind of describing what's going on in her life while she's describing her concepts.
There you go. Yep.
And
Great
so
example.
you kind of connect with her.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is that when Brene Brown meets someone, the reader thinks they know her.
That's true.
It's like, wait a minute, we don't actually know each other yet.
There's a little false familiarity happening.
Yeah. I've done that. I've done that.
No, I know, and that is probably one of the drawbacks. But I would argue too, you want that kind of familiarity. You want that kind of relationship with your reader.
Yeah.
And I've argued for this
True.
a lot with people writing stories, whether that's fiction or even like memoir. You're basically having to trust your reader. You trust the reader will get it. A lot of times I find, and this is just an endemic in the process, what you start with a writer is they had this idea that they want to get across to the reader, and they're going to like walk them through how they got there. We don't need all that. We can condense that. We can trust the reader to sort of infer what you're leaving out.
Right. Don't tell them the emotions they're supposed to be feeling.
Exactly. Or even like some of the concepts or some of the words. Like I've said before, a lot of times the skill in telling a story well is to get the reader to imagine the word that you aren't saying. Right? Because that helps to sort of like crystallize what it is you're trying to do.
Or the idea that
you're trying to make them feel smart, not
make
them think you're smart.
Yeah.
So that's a very different sort of sleight of hand that a storyteller has to learn.
To sort of spur on their own thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not spell everything out.
Trust your
point.
reader.
Right.
And see, that happens in the editing process. So typically first drafts, even second drafts, often are too spelled out.
Yeah.
And you've got, this manuscript that's too long. Well, just condense a lot of the stuff that you're assuming a reader needs to know, because they don't need to know how you got everywhere.
Right.
So that's one of those things that I just use as a shorthand to help people understand. Like, we're trying to, I guess, give readers a good experience when they come to your book. And Brene Brown, by being herself, is giving you a good experience. She does have the authority of experience and a lot of research-based information that she's going to hand you, but she's not starting there. She's starting with, she's a person who had a need and recognized this problem in her life and went on a quest to find a solution for it. And then that engages your heart. It's a heart level thing rather than a head thing.
Yeah.
At least to start.
Yeah. And the question is, as a writer working with a publishing professional, are you going to be the one that is a safe writer to receive feedback?
Right.
Sometimes if you're not getting great feedback, it might be because the editor doesn't feel very comfortable.
That has happened.
There's that. There's that. That's a possibility. It might not be the only explanation.
Sure.
It could be that the editor is really busy, or the editor is not very good, or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, there's all kinds of things.
Yeah, but are you the author that will allow the editor to help you go deeper, to cut out some of the verbiage that's saying too much? I feel like when I do editing that, I've got a psychology background. I've always wanted to like bring things out of people. I think that's something I'm pretty good at doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
In one-to-one relationships or even professionally, and in editing, a writer will an author will hit on something. They'll start talking about something, and then they just give it one sentence.
Yeah,
and I will often say, "Whoa, this is very rich.
Yeah,
you just said something very rich. Can you take another paragraph?"
All the time
on this.
That's right.
And
which is almost the opposite problem, is what I was describing.
Yeah, and usually they do. I mean, usually,
sure,
if you phrase it that way,
because they don't necessarily see what's valuable or what treasure they have. They need it pointed out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I think the reader would love to hear you explain this more in your own words. And I know I'm saying explain, but
or like how you got there. Maybe sometimes it is helpful to see, like, okay, that idea feels pretty like well defined, or you understand something that not a lot of people understand. How did you get there?
Yeah. I'd like to comment on one more thing on that thread there too, and that is, I think that's something that we need more of these days is rich experience and rich feelings.
Right.
I think that's a huge topic in in the United States today, when it comes to religion and spirituality, when it comes to self-help,
like feeling your
even
way
maybe
to...
when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we get out of our heads?
Yeah. Good.
And how do we get away from, you use the word beliefism in religion. How do we get out of thinking everything's about what we think, and more about how things make us feel, or how the things we do make other people feel?
That's so good.
And that's what I don't, that's what I feel like when I'm rating. I'm like, so I'm like in my late 50s, and I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of self-help, read a lot of like advice giving type books. There's so much advice out there. And it's just like, after all this time, I'm starting to say to myself, I've heard all the advice I need. I need to actually just go do some things.
That's good. That's right. Yeah.
I need to trust myself, and maybe I need to trust other people more.
Yeah.
And just stop worrying about whether I'm doing something right, and just find my way through it.
Yeah. See, that sounds like the start of a good book.
There you go. Yeah.
To me. Because that sounds very relatable.
Yeah.
Because that's a good place to start, I would think. If someone's like recognizing, that's a very humble thing to observe as well, to go, okay, I have a lot of knowledge, and you're not going, oh, that makes me, capable.
No,
it actually is
and
sort of stymieing. It's actually maybe a detriment to me. I need to go live my life. And that feels very understandable, relatable. Like it's a good starting place for a humble, I guess, narrator, or even someone to kind of lead us through their journey.
Right? I mean, especially growing up evangelical, it's always been, well, what does the Bible have to say? What do I need to learn?
Or like you said, just the right answer. Like, what's the right answer? And once I know it, I can set that aside.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, no, life doesn't work that way.
Right. Right.
It's not about having all the right answers.
Yeah.
If it was, I think we'd be all good. There wouldn't be the anxiety epidemic that we have. And, but I think absolutely what you're talking about is, it's a good maybe bullet point to what makes a humble author, what makes an author we want to work with.
Right.
Ultimately, what makes a successful author.
Yeah.
Right. It's being teachable. It's being grounded. It's being mature. But it's
asking questions.
It's asking questions. It's being willing to go on a journey that's vulnerable, that doesn't feel like you have all the answers, and is led by the heart.
Right.
As much as it's informed by the head.
Right. Right.
Because I don't know that we want to do one or the other ever. Yeah. We want to do both.
Sometimes I can tell when I'm working with an author that is starting to concern me is if we have a meeting and that author does all the talking. Now, that doesn't always mean there's an issue that can't be overcome.
Sure, maybe they're just a talker.
But it also, but it could also mean that we're not gonna have a very strong partnership.
That's good.
And maybe they think of the work that we're offering as a service to them, and they're the consumer.
Yep.
Or maybe maybe they are talkative, which could be a liability. Or maybe there is a control issue there, or maybe there are boundary issues there. I definitely have, we both. We both have. Yeah, I mean, we work with human beings. It's all over the place.
We choose wrong all the time. Still, we choose wrong.
Yeah. But if there's not a room to breathe, I often say too to authors that be careful of magical thinking. In publishing. That if I do this, I'll get that, or if that happens, or I just need that one thing, and then that will be
endorser. I need that magic endorser.
The magic to me more happens in the conversation, when you're working together with someone. Like I'll say that a lot with regard to marketing. I'm a meeting heavy-minded marketing person. I feel like we need to get together to understand each other. Strengths and weaknesses. You have as an author have strengths and weaknesses. I have as a publisher strengths and weaknesses, and to learn what those are, to kind of customize how things best work.
Yes.
And I think that when you're trying to talk about marketing, that's where you're going to really figure out how best to do a launch team, or how best to do social media posting, or how best to do find speaking, those kinds of things. I think that's where it comes out. And in that sense, it doesn't matter who's doing the talking. Sometimes it's really more like, are we learning what we need to learn here? Is it coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing, as you're talking, I'm thinking about the division between feeling and thinking, and that's just coming out of this conversation. But I've thought about that before, how I think a lot of times an author will feel like they have to perform up front, sort of the assumed ritual of talking about what their passion is for this project.
Yeah.
It's even in my vision form when I start working with someone and I hand them this. It's the last question on the list, but it's like, what makes you want to write this book, or what was your passion for this topic?
Yeah.
And I say, well, limit it to 100 words if you can, but I want to know, like, what is the heart level reason why you have to do this? Because it's going to be a journey, right?
Right.
And I hope that you enjoy the journey. I hope it's a fun thing to work with an editor and then get a book out there, right? But like, it's going to start with your passion, and then seeing that passion come to fruition on the page, and then hand it to someone as an experience to say, look, this is what happened to me. I hope it relates to your life as well.
Yeah.
That's just a fulfilling thing to do.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that initially. But then I do feel like sometimes an author gets the idea that rather than be sincere or come from a sincere place of like, well, my real passion was that my grandma gave me this important lesson when I was younger, and now I just want to hand it to people. It's more like, well, I'm going to make up this story, or I'm going to add, bells and whistles to make it seem really fancy to a editor, and then that's going to sound really good, and it's going to make him want to work.
You need to take a story brand class.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like they got this idea that they have to have
follow the steps of the
important story, or like seem important.
I've heard
Self-importance.
that story brand thing a lot. So
yes. So to me, it feels very self-important, right?
Yeah.
It feels like you're gilding the lily, as they say. Like, it's already a lily. Like, stop trying to make it fancy. And of course, we've talked about our distaste for pretense before, but it really just feels fraught with peril for publishing people who are in this industry to say, oh, we really just want to see someone who's leading from the heart, or is like what you just basically described, like feelings, right? That we need to be led by our feelings more. Sounds very dangerous in like the professional part of me, because like that's my armor, is my thinking. That's the way that I defend against being used by someone who's basically like giving me a line, or trying to sell me a story that's insincere.
Right. But what our feelings do is they are a product of experience, and they are not subject to the superego to bring in some bring in some psychology, to bring in like that controlling mind, that rational mind.
Yep.
They're responding to all of experience in a way, and we have to listen to them.
Yeah.
And it could be that's where the creative spark comes from. That's where new knowledge comes from, or at least that's where we can layer new knowledge on top of those feelings, or connect it to those feelings.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just personally, I also probably need to trust that I can discern when someone's being sincere with the story, and when they're not. I mean, at least ultimately, after a conversation, and you're having that little sort of debrief with yourself, and you're like, what went well?
Right.
Do I want to work with this person or not? I'm usually thinking about the stories that they've shared, their concept, and whether they seem like a winnable or winning personality, I guess.
Right.
To me, what makes someone publishable is if I feel like they wanted to connect with me when we were talking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a one-on-one type thing.
And they even care about you. They ask you about what's going on in your life. And
they're not so dead set on, what they wanted out of the conversation.
Right. just strictly
or
goal oriented.
Yeah, going down their list of questions so they can get to the end of it and get what they wanted out of me.
Yep.
It felt more like either collegial or respectful or...
That's why I don't like it when I'm not a big fan when authors are interviewing me and they're like, well, I'm interviewing several agents. And
it happens all the time.
And I'm like, I would just rather you just go with someone else. I don't want to, if
that's what you're doing here. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I'm a person.
I get that, but I just don't want to do this.
and maybe some agents do. Maybe they are,
Yeah.
They have a lot of like clients and they don't have time for the niceties and they keep things formal.
Well, I think too, it's like, it's often about network, like the network that you're in.
Yeah.
I think that you'd be surprised of the variety of agents that are out there, and there probably is more than one that could be good for you, or publishers. But there are probably others that would be even better for you. There's probably one that you might even want to zero in on the most.
Yeah.
And that might actually be something of a clue about authenticity. Are you the most connected to this one? I remember one author said that they chose one publisher over another. This is back in the old days, because that publisher had more New York Times bestsellers.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, good, go with that.
That's great.
Go with that
I'm
other
glad
publisher.
You went there. Well, right.
Because if that's what's most important to you, then
exactly.
That's not
and I don't want to
do.
completely dismiss that. Like maybe that's coming from a more sincere place than we would assume.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
I suppose they were honest.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like they want to be successful at this and they want to be able to write more books.
Yeah.
Okay, great. But like, yeah.
We've talked about the New York Times
bestseller
list.
It's like, that's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I worry that authors or writers listening to this would feel compelled to like not approach you if they felt like they're a different type of author and like, cause this could sound like we're judging or like we're being a little bit elitist here, saying we want people to be real and humble and no, honestly, we really just want people to be open. I don't know if that's the right word, but like willing to listen and have a conversation and respect people's experiences and the fact that we're coming here as professionals and we assume they are too, but also we're real people, and we'd like to who we work with.
Often I will every so often see people complaining about an agent or a publisher, like especially on social media. They said something mean, or they said something, or they did something that seems insensitive, or even complain about Amazon screwed up something about their book. And, a lot of the time when I see those things, I'm from what I can just discern from what I'm reading, it's like, you don't know that's not the whole story there.
Right.
And this is not a slight against you. This is not the world of business being crass and jaded.
Yeah.
And that often tells me about someone's humility, maturity, when I see those kinds of comments.
Yeah, don't just assume that you know what's going on,
right,
or why that happened.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right, and often too, is that there's real humans on the other side of that table, who they're also on a journey. Yeah, and they have feelings about what they're doing, and that I think is one of the things I will look at sometimes and go, okay, not sure I want to like go deep in with that person anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. And we've been burned. I think we've all worked with people who we probably would not work with again. Yeah. And I think that's how you learn. You go forward and you're like, okay, well, that means I need to be more discerning up front next time, if I can. And I'm not very systematic. I think you probably are more systematic in the way that you approach your work and business. I'm more of a default kind of thinker. I don't plan. But when it is in a conversation with someone and I'm recognizing some characteristics that might be troublesome, later.
Yeah, but you pick up on those things quicker.
Well, I try to at least because I've been burned so many times, and I guess as an editor,
but you're also catching on to the feelings quicker, I think.
Well, it's because my job requires things to get pretty intimate pretty quickly.
Yeah,
and like
that is publishing for sure.
I ask some pretty impertinent questions up front sometimes, and like we were saying, like go deeper. That's not everybody. Not everyone wants to do that.
Right.
Even some people who have submitted their manuscript are like, that's probably as much as I want to say about whatever that was.
Right.
And then I will kind of like try to have this like microcosm almost in that first conversation. Like, how's that going to go? I try to get like ideas about what they're going to do. Are they going to fight me? Are they going to be open? Everybody says, "Oh, I'm so easy to edit, and I'm open to any kind of feedback, so don't hold back."
Yeah.
And also, everyone likes to know that they're doing a good job. So I'm very reticent to accept that as an open invitation.
Yeah.
Until we've worked together a little bit. And I think you probably do a similar thing, even if it's not editing. It's like as an agent and as a publisher, you're probably looking for those sort of indicators of their willingness to take advice, or to listen to you, or to, I guess, just be open to feedback.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because talk is cheap, and I want to see it. I want to see proof of it.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, the sort of element of humility.
Right.
That I keep saying. I mean, I think it's essential.
Yeah. I think, too, I should clarify a little bit that there isn't a lot of humility in publishing. On the publishing side of the table.
Yep.
I think we're speaking from kind of where we are.
Yeah.
And neither one of us are getting 6-figure salaries,
right,
at least anymore.
Right.
And we're not doing, we're not working on books that garnered 6-figure advances or higher or much higher. Right. We're not losing as much money on 6-figure advances that we used to.
We both sort of opted out of that.
Yeah. Now I forgot where I was going with that.
No, but like that there's not a lot of humility on the publishing side of the table.
Yeah. There is toxic capitalism.
Right.
Even in religious publishing, and often, especially in religious publishing.
Oh, how dare you say such things?
Yep. It's there.
Frankly, I wish more people knew that.
I've got the spreadsheets to show.
It's bottom line driven.
I got the P&L percentages.
That's
and
right.
the money making that is going on behind some of those
I like
book deals at those publishers.
Especially in evangelical publishing.
Yeah.
Because people don't believe it.
Yeah. But
you kind of have to prove that.
Even in I'll be really candid here. I've worked with progressive authors, and I try to tell them, you might not want that. Be careful of those bigger book deals.
Right.
You might not want that.
Right.
They're looking for something there, and are they really going to be a long-term partner for you? You want to take the money, and there's something to that, and that's going to help you pay for things.
Right.
But chances are really good you're not going to be able to quit your day job even with that bigger check.
Right. Yeah. No, I've seen it happen.
And then you're going to really be on the hook for a lot more money to make up for
exactly.
in your book. Or if you don't even worry about, if you're not worried about the publisher being on the hook, there is that sense of, well, they paid me a lot of money and they've not earned it back. And well, maybe that's okay because they're a big publisher. Who cares? But that's also kind of a jaded way to live.
Right.
And also, as being a publisher behind the scenes, when I did a book deal and the book just didn't even come close to earning out a very, very large advance, it hurt our budget for the year. It hurt our team. Mm-hmm. It hurt our bonuses, perhaps, that are part of the normal pay process in a business that doesn't pay people all that great unless you're in the upper levels.
Right.
So yeah, I'm kind of going on and on about this, but I do think that there is the system of publishing has its own corruptness.
Right.
And the thing is, most authors, when they complain about it, they're complaining about more like surface things, and they're not really seeing what's underneath all that, and that there are options today.
That's right.
There are definitely options where you're keeping it more real, more authentic, more on the ground, and if you're really committed to the long haul, And that's really what I'm in this for.
Yeah.
You know, I think people see Lake Drive Books as like a service, and that's not what I think of it at all.
No.
And
why
like
would you do it?
They're going to publish their book with me and see what happens. No, I want to know, what are you doing with this book 5 years from now?
Right. Yeah. You
Not
want long
not
term.
in a sales point of view, but I want to see impact.
Yeah.
I want to see sales. Yeah. But I don't expect giant sales, but I do expect ongoing impact.
Absolutely.
And because that's all you really need, and that's all you really want in book publishing, is some kind of continuity, some kind of stream that just keeps going, even if it's a small one. But if you're just kind of in it, and then I want to move on to something else,
right?
Or
it's just one book.
Yeah, I mean, that gets back to the humility thing too. Is like, are you entering into this on equal footing with your publisher?
That's great. That's great. And the word that comes to mind is partnership. I think when we're looking to work with someone, we want a long-term partnership. And ideally, that wouldn't just be for one book. That would be for multiple books.
Right.
And hopefully we're seeing some organic growth over the lifetime of all those books.
Right.
Sales are great. You know, good marketing ideas and hooks are great. Even good writing. I mean, man, that's why I do what I do. But a relationship with an author, it's bigger than all of this.
It's a lot of fun.
And it's a lot of fun.
When you do it, when it goes well.
Yeah, exactly. It's this give and take partnership that you can't understand until you're in it.
Yeah.
And once you're in it, you go, wow, this is amazing. Feeling trusted, feeling appreciated, right? On both sides of the table. I think that's just something that's the magic to me.
And then you still have that partnership, even if it's not as active. It's like a friendship. You can pick up on it at any time.
Yep.
But if you never were able to go deep in the first place with your publisher, then you can't leverage that later on.
Right. Yeah. I think we landed on it
Yeah.
here somehow in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
Our characteristics of the perfect author to work with. I don't know. We might need someone to come in and help us summarize, give us the little bullet points, but that's helpful. I think we could probably go on and extrapolate a bit more, but I think it's a good place to leave it for now.
Just being a great human being is no small feat. And it takes observation, it takes patience, it takes capacity to mess things up and then kind of repair them. And that's going to happen on both sides.
No, right. Expect it.
Yeah.
And then repair. And then that's difficult.
Or make up, make up or make up for it.
Right.
Like go in and
or
improve.
I was offsides, or I didn't quite read that correctly.
Or I didn't get that done in time, but let me focus on this now, and we're going to make some stuff happen still.
Yeah. Totally.
We're still on a great time schedule, and
yeah, and I think it's making that relationship a priority that will help everybody in the process. Right. Recognizing that an author is doing that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Well, I hope this is helpful. Once again, it feels like we're pulling all the intangibles in,
We always do.
Sorry there's no 8-step process here, everybody.
I know. I really wish I could come up with something like that, but I mean, I'll try to do it for the Substack post.
That's why we're not rich.
The little bullet points at the end for you to have takeaways.
There you go.
But they're still going to be intangible. But anyway, come back next time. We'll talk about more disruption. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.